Michael, what were some of the fears and struggles you came to face when you first started to put yourself out there?
The same ones I face today. It's uncertainty. It's not knowing how you're going to be received. It's the troll comments you get. It's your own troll comments in the back of your head, because what I've come to realize is that trolls are just your own negative self-talk manifested in real life. It's my fear of what are they going to think. And I don't think that that's something that you eradicate on your journey of sharing your mission with the world. That should never go away, I don't think. Because I feel like once you conquer that, and once you lose your, I don't know if I'd call it grounding, but I feel like my fear is part of what drives me. Like, if I'm more afraid of what other people think about me than me, that makes me more hungry to just love myself more. It makes me more hungry to just be me more. Because for me, freedom is not being bound by other people's opinions. Like, I know not everyone's gonna like me. I know I'm too intense for some people. I know I hashtag do the most. That's just who I am. Like, I have to be who I am. And so for me, a part of that fear is something I don't want to go away, because then I'll feel like I'll lose my humility. I'll lose what makes me human, what makes me relatable. And I think everyone these days, Stephanie, I think 99.9% of people right now who might be listening, you guys have a dream. Like, we all have things that are within our own being that we were put here on this earth to do. And through my coaching with hundreds of women, maybe thousands at this point, and through my own journey and just being aware, we're all terrified to put our work out there. Like, everyone has fears. And if they say they don't, they're lying. Like, you talk to Beyonce, she says she's nervous. She was nervous to share her album with the studio executives. You know, everyone who's doing big things are scared, but they go anyway. So that was kind of a rant, but that's a long answer to, I'm still scared, and I don't think that's going anywhere, you know?
Yeah, no, you gotta push through it. The fear is always there, but you just gotta put yourself out despite the fear. I think that's how eventually it goes away, little by little. I mean, you always have it in different levels as you're growing.
Yeah.
So in talking about that, then, have you self-sabotage yourself? And if so, like, how do you deal with self-sabotaging thoughts that make you feel like you're a fraud, or like you're just winging it, especially when you first started?
Yeah, I didn't really deal with the imposter syndrome when I first started, because I just was like, this is what I'm doing, and I'm gonna share it with you guys. I didn't, at that point, I hadn't monetized anything. It was literally me just sharing my journey. So I definitely did not deal with the imposter syndrome as much then. Now, in terms of self-sabotage, what was your question? How has self-sabotage, what was your question again?
Like, just basically, how have you self-sabotaged? Because the reason I want to ask this question is because there are people who they have these visions that they want to do, but a lot of times they self-sabotage before they even get started, or in the process, or when they reach a certain because also I read that there's a cap that when we reach a certain level of success, or like a really period in our life when we're really happy, each of us have a limit of how happy we allow ourselves to be before we start to self-sabotage, right? So the question is like twofold. It could be for those who are starting off and self-sabotage before they even start, or when you're already in the process and you're getting really successful and you're getting the things you want, and then you self-sabotage because you've reached your happy limit. Like, has that happened to you?
Thanks for sharing that. I just learned something. Like, you just reminded me of something too. Like, we all do have a cap. Like, I was just talking to my husband the other night, and it's like we all are in our own little universes, and then we all have our own little self-imposed glass ceiling, right? So that's really interesting you say that. But okay, let's start off with the people who haven't yet started, who keep self-sabotaging, because that's like my dream client. Like, that person who hasn't yet gotten that first transformation. I'm like, yeah, I want you. I want the person who like has not met a better version of themselves yet, but knows it's deep down there. And those are the people to me who have hit rock bottoms. Like they've hit that rock bottom and they're just like screw my life. Like it's just, they're losing hope. And I think that form of self-sabotage it all boils down to fear. I think that a lot of us are afraid of becoming a better version of ourselves because it's going to impact who you can hang out with. It's going to impact who you're in relationship with. It's going to impact the type of work that you want to do on a daily basis. It's going to impact who you spend your time with. And so for me, speaking from experience, my first transformation came and I knew my whole life would look different. And that's really uncomfortable because of the fact that known hells are better than strange heavens. There's some saying about that. Like I was comfortable with my shitty life back then at 18, 19 years old, with having no vision, with having no life. I was miserable, but I was comfortable. I had company then. And so when I first made the decision, like, okay, I got to get my life together, I knew I wouldn't have the same friends. I couldn't live in the same state. I could not do the same things. I couldn't eat the same. I couldn't drink the same. I couldn't be that person. So I still know who she is, 18-year-old me, but I'm like, thank God I'm not her anymore. But that first decision and that first chapter in that journey is a trip. Like you're shedding old skin. It's a trip and it's hard. And it's only for the spiritual warriors. Like that's the only people who are really going to transform in this life are for the G's, like the spiritual warriors, right? And so I think a lot of us, myself included, I still go back there. A lot of us, we just get afraid of what that new us is going to look like because our potential is unlimited. I'm not where I want to be. I'm just grateful I'm not the 18-year-old me anymore. So we're scared. We're scared shitless of how that's going to change our lives and if we can sustain it. So getting to the next part, as far as what about when you do hit that transformation? What about when you do get that cap of success? What about when you do make a dream come true? And then you're like, oh, I hit my cap. Time to get up. Time to mess it up. I've been there too. I go there all the time because now I've made 15 vision boards in my life and I've seen all this come true. I've gotten the house, I've gotten married, I have the kids. Like I wanted a son, a daughter, I got that. I wanted to grow my platform. Like it's crazy how you can manifest things when you set the intention, right? And so I've sabotaged that a few times and I'm like, do I really want to be married? Like, do I really want to share my life every day with the world? And then you just take a break and you're just like, I need a break. And I'm not ashamed of that because I'm human and I don't have it all together. And I think that we think that if we're a coach or if we have a platform that we have to always be perfect. And I'm like, nah, that's not going to make me relatable to the clients I do have or to the followers I do have. I want them to know like it's you against you every day. Every day I look in the mirror, I'm like, I got to beat my own negative thoughts. Like I have to eliminate them. I have to pull the weeds in my mind every day. Because if I don't do it, I'm going to self-sabotage. I'm going to be like, I'm going to find a way to fuck it up.
Yeah.
I will. So I always have to stoke my own brain. And that's why I'm so big on rituals. I just posted a video on Instagram today, like rituals saved my life. And I'm going off on a tangent again, but yeah.
So as you're saying that, I want to dive a little bit into when did your passion go from a hobby into a business? What was that turning point? What I find so interesting in your journey and being able to have known you when you first started to now.
That's so cool.
It is.
That's so cool.
And so what I want people, because I know that there are people out there who are trying to create an online business or they're trying to follow their passion, and it's a journey. So I really want to know like what was that turning point for you? You know, you started this as a passion, and then how and when, what was that shift that happened that turned it into a business?
It was demand. I think that what trips us up today in 2018 with all these brands on social media is we think like we got to start and out the gate we're making 6 figures a year. And If people only knew, right? When I first started Momswearheels, my husband and I had a restaurant. I was working at the restaurant. I was finishing college. I was raising my child. I was breastfeeding. I had all these things going on. And so, hold on, girl. You know that moment when you just have a lucid moment and then your brain my brain was like, bye. I completely lost. It just walked away. What was your question? Oh yeah. Oh my God. My brain was like, peace. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the point, getting back on track. So that's how my brain works, you guys. I literally, it's just like do. I have to work to focus. Okay. So there's a lot in the beginning of the struggle that you don't get paid for. Like I would wake up at 5 a.m., before school, before work, before all this stuff, to go on TV to talk for free for years before I had any type of a following. Like I had to carve out time to write my book when I was exhausted. I had to make time to go to the gym or to work out at home before I made any money with the programs that I created, right? So I think that we underestimate how much we gotta invest in ourselves and invest in our brands before we can monetize it. So that's the first step, is know it's gonna be a hustle, and know that you have to love it or you'll quit. It's not sustainable if you don't love it and if it's not authentic. And so after investing, writing the book, doing the TV, uploading a free workout almost every day for years, right? That's a lot. Sit there, turn the tripod on, hit record, work out, edit it, upload, caption, respond to comments. That's a full-time job in and of itself. And so when people are like, well, how'd you get a following? By working and by sharing consistently. And it was a full-time job. So please make sure you love it if you're gonna do it, or your ass will quit, okay? First step. And then after you show the world who you are, you show them who you are with your passion, you show them who you are with your content. Because just like I said in my Instagram post today, like no one's gonna come and save us. Like no one's gonna come knock on my door and be like, yo, Monica, it's 5 a.m., wake up. Like no one's gonna do that. No one's gonna force me to go to the gym. No one's gonna force me to create my own programs to monetize. That literally takes days, weeks, hours. It's so much work, right? But all we see online, we scroll on social, we see the finished product. We see someone just launched this. We see someone just launched a new website. And I'm like, if we only knew their struggle, right? So we got to stop having people on some pedestal, some illusory mountain. Like, she's not special, I'm not special, you're not special. We're all on the same plane. We all have gifts, but it boils down to just work ethic and using your gifts, leveraging your gifts and developing a plan, stoking that fire every day with self-belief, with faith, with hard work, right? And then at that point, you'll wake up and you will have an audience. I don't care if it's 500 people. I don't care if it's a million people. You'll wake up with an audience one day when you continuously do that. You'll find your tribe, right? And then from that point, the demand will appear. The demand will come up, I think.
And so from when you started to when you started growing and seeing a shift,
Mm-hmm.
How long was that?
That's a tricky question. Can you say that another way?
Yeah, so from when you started okay, so basically when you started the blog, we're talking about that this takes your messages, which I think it's beautiful, because this is what people need to realize, is that it doesn't happen overnight. We just see the product. And I know because when we started talking, you had just started. I mean, you had been doing it for a little while. And then, we lost touch. I disappeared from social media for almost 2 years.
I know, we missed you. And you guys, make sure you check out her YouTube. I was on YouTube, sorry, just quick side note. I was on YouTube shortly before I reconnected with you, like this past year. And one of your videos popped up and it was just you ranting. And I was like, I love her. I love people who can rant and it just connects with me. But you were saying something that was related to authenticity. And I was like, So in the back of my head, I was like, I need to reconnect with her. So anyway, rant, side of
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm so glad that we reconnected, but it was so crazy because it's been so long. And then when we reconnected, I've seen all the growth that you've made, in your business wise, and just I've seen your vision really come to life. it was a conception, it was your baby, you had just started.
Yes.
And now it's, you have a brand, you have a platform, you have a huge following, and you have a movement with, your Moms Wear Heels and your challenges. So it's just very cool to see that growth. But a lot of times we'll look at that and somebody who hasn't seen the journey, and we just think it needs to happen overnight, and we get discouraged when we're trying to do our own thing, So
Yes.
my question is, how long, I mean, obviously this is a whole journey, so it's a very specific question, but just like an estimate, like from when you started to when you started monetizing and your platform started growing, would you say like 3 years into doing it, 2 years, it took you 4 years?
Yeah, I see now. You're like, get specific.
Specific, just to give people, because I think specifics, it really helps people to not have this abstract thing, because a lot of times we make everything very abstract and we're like, okay, we started here and then now we're here, but what's the in between?
And just to preface my answer, that's how I am. Everything I do is highly intuitive, and I think that's a really good part of me, and then a really bad part. So I'm working on balancing that. But I started Momswearheels in 2012, right? And from there, making scalable income, not just selling a few books every other week. I would say was when I had my daughter. So that was 2016. So let me count. Can I do math? So 2012. So about 4 years. 4 years. That's why I love talking, because I'm like, I should know this. You're bringing it out of me. Okay, so I had my son in 2012, started Momswearheels, started the blog, wrote the book, did the TV shows, whatever. Did that for about 4 years, started Instagram. And then after I had my daughter, I was at about 40,000 followers on Instagram and maybe like 5,000 on YouTube, something like that. And so I would get these DMs and I would get comments, and I would like walk around and people would be like, how'd you get your body back? Right? And I'm like, oh, I guess this is my gift. I guess this is what my dharma is, because it comes naturally to me. Like, I love to move my body. It keeps me sane. I love to eat fish and drink a lot of water. And, it's what I love to do. So when people started to ask me the questions, I said, okay, I have to create the program so that I can actually create something that I use and monetize it and sell it. But I didn't have a desire to do that until people started to ask me to do that. Like, I was completely happy just sharing it online for free, which isn't business savvy. Like, don't do that. Be smarter. Like,
No, but you know what? I have to pause you, because it's a great point to also share that doing something for the act itself is really where we need to focus, because a lot of times we go into things with the wrong intention. Everything is intention, the why we're doing something. And so a lot of people want to start these online businesses or grow a platform and a following, but it's because they want to make money, or they want to, be famous. And so that's going to be a different journey. That's going to give you a different experience.
That's true.
Versus when you're just focusing it because it truly is your passion and you're doing it for the act itself. And then the byproduct is just that it happens naturally, where it's organic. You grew a business, maybe it wasn't your intention, but you get there, I think, more naturally when you're just doing something for the act itself.
Yeah, and that's why I love what you said about, the difference between an abstract answer and specificity, right? So I really had to thank you for bringing that out of me. I'm like, okay, it took about 4.5 years. But also, everything in my business is highly intuitive. I don't create a program unless I'm called to do it. Like, so although people were asking for it, like, in my heart, it felt like the next right thing to do. If I launched the Momswearheels challenge when my son was first born, it would have been a flop times 50. I don't care if it sold 100 copies or 1,000 copies. It would have not been the right time. So for me, I only make things or create things if it feels, obviously the journey hasn't been perfect, but for the most part, everything that's been successful that I've made has been because there was an intuitive nudge. And I think that that's like a secret weapon that not enough people are using, is our own intuitive power And I coach my husband. He's like, shut up. Like, but I'm like, you got to use your intuition, because he's super like left brain, logical, business savvy. He's so damn smart. But I'm like, you'll be a superhuman if you can pair that with the right brain, intuitive side. So I'm like, babe, go meditate, like go do this. Because, you know, I'm like, yeah. So anyway, I think that if we're being intuitive on the journey, the money shows up. If we're doing what we're meant to be doing, like it's going to come. And for me, it took about 4.5 years, but I'm sure if I started off with more of that right, left balance, I would have made money a lot sooner. I would have made more sooner. But I wasn't in a rush, to be honest. I was fine being broke.
And actually no, but it's a good thing, because like we said, like people don't talk about this, how long it takes, the reality of it, you know? And it's important because it gives people some real context where it's like, it's okay. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's about, you know, staying consistent and in the process, and you have to really want it. You have to, your why has to be strong enough for you to stay with it.
That's it.
I want to kind of transition really quick into how do you stay consistent? Because I know that this is a big thing for a lot of people, including myself. I haven't been that consistent in my journey. So how do you stay consistent?
I think the first thing is to realize that I'm being redundant, but you know, I think the important rules of life are like, it's simple, but it's meant to be redundant. So you have to love what you do. You have to love it. If you don't want to do it, I don't want to watch you do it. Like, it's that simple. And so what we're seeing now is we go online and then we see somebody else who has 100,000 views on a video, and we're like, well, maybe I should try that. It's not going to turn out the same. You have to do what is in your heart. And I'm telling you, it goes back to fear too, because I'm a weirdo. I'm a free spirit. And so when I'm creating content, I know, like, people literally are like, that's weird. And I'm like, I know. But I have to do it my way, because I don't want to be the other fitness coach. I don't want to be like the other fit mom. Boring. She already got hers. She got her down pat. I want to show you guys how I do it. Right? So if you can deal with the criticism that comes along with you sharing your dharma in your own unique way, then consistency becomes more effortless, because you're like, I'm enjoying making it. I'm enjoying the content I'm creating. I'm enjoying the process. And I think if you don't love your own process, like, yeah, it's going to hurt sometimes. Yeah, that resistance when you're doing that 15 squat, it's going to hurt. But if it gives you life, like if you're getting life by being you and doing you and sharing it, if someone doesn't like it, that's fine. But I think that's what's going to be the key to your consistency, because if you're trying to copy someone else's business model and it's not jazzing you up, like, to me, it's a problem when people say that I'm not a morning person. I'm like, that's a problem to me. Everyone, like, I'm tired, but I'm fired up. Like, I didn't sleep a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if you're waking up and if you have a purpose and even if you don't have a clear idea of what that purpose is, if you're taking steps to it, if you find passions that feel aligned with who you're meant to be, you will wake up and you will be a morning person, right? And you will wake up and you will want to be consistent with your brand, with your platform, and everyone is a brand. Everything we share online, everyone's a brand. So yeah, I think you gotta like yourself and you gotta like what you do. I think that's the key.
Absolutely. And now that you have seen this growth, how do you feel? Do you feel any different? Do you feel like you've made it, or at least attained a certain vision that you had? Like, has it changed you to now have a successful business and to have a really large online platform, to have all these followers? Is there a difference in your state of being and your state of thinking versus when you first started? Has it changed you?
I think time has changed me. I think that's just a byproduct of constantly feeding into it. But I don't think it's like numbers are so elusive. Numbers are so fickle. It's never going to be enough. I'm like, 70,000, bad. Like,
so that's curious. No, but that's curious, because I'm
kidding. I love you guys. I'm just saying.
But that's a good thing. I actually want to dive into this because for somebody who's just starting off and they're like obsessed with wanting to get followers, or it's like anything. The people who want money and haven't had a certain amount
of money, more followers,
but they don't know what that feeling is. So what I'm trying to get out of you is you went from having, like, let's say a couple hundred followers, let's just say when you first started out, to now you have 75,000 on Instagram. Okay, that's a big difference. There are two different levels. So is it really that much of a difference? Like, how does that feel? Or is it what we think, that it's like, oh, once we attain what we get it, the hype isn't really what it is? Or
I think
feeling.
I would be remiss if I acted like it didn't matter. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I know that would be comforting to be like, numbers don't matter. But when you're a brand, they do. And so that's why a lot of people end up either selling out or they end up like doing things that they don't love because this is what's popular, right? So I think that making the distinction, yes, numbers matter. Like Tony Robbins says, progress is the key to happiness. So I want to progress with my body. I want to progress in my business. I want to progress as a mother. I want to progress in numbers too. Because if I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, I'm hoping that that's a byproduct. I'm hoping, but that's not always the case. But I would say, tell me your question one more time.
No, but you mentioned, you feel like it's not enough. Like when we get something, we're always on to the next. Like you didn't have 75,000 followers and now you do. So is it something where it's like, it's not a big deal, or I want more?
Okay, so that was the logical part of the answer, what I just said. Yes, they matter in terms of if you want to have a business and if you want visibility. Not everyone wants a big platform, because the bigger the platform, the more trolls be like, hey, what's she doing today? Let me try to fuck up her day today, right? The bigger the platform, the more potential you have for darkness too. So not everyone wants that. But I would say the other side of that is getting there and it never being enough. I know people with 1 million followers and they're like on the grind every day. I got to get more followers. I'm like, you got 1 million followers. Focus on them, right? And so for me, I've hit a point in my business to where I really don't care about the followers, the number, as much as I care. What happened? Oh, no, your face was priceless. I can't hear you.
Now my mom just walked in.
I just saw that in the mirror. Your eyes were like this. I was like, what happened?
Sorry.
Oh my God. No, it's okay. I love laughing. It's okay. But Candid.
I'm probably gonna leave this today. I'm gonna leave this.
I hope you do. I'm like, we're not Autobots. We're humans, and we like to laugh. That was great. But I would say, and this is, I love that look in your face. Okay, this is the good news, you guys. This is a good news for anyone who's sitting there looking at their following list and comparing it to somebody with 3 million. This is the good news. The person with 3 million followers is no more happy than you. They have more visibility, and that might be able to be tied to monetization. That doesn't do anything for your spirit. Like, to me, fame is only a magnifier for who you are. So I'm like, yay, I got a few more people in my audience. I'm still gonna do me. Like, I'm still gonna be wild, crazy mom, the mom next door. Like, I'm not gonna change my content because I have made that mistake before where I partnered with certain companies and they're like, can you be more this? And I'm like, no. So I have made a point, a really big decision, and this is where the other existential crisis came in, right? I had to be honest with myself. I'm like, do you want just more numbers, or do you want to really do what's in your heart? Because I hit a crossroad where I literally was working with companies and they wanted me to change who I was for money. And I said, you know what? Like, again, goes back to being a spiritual warrior. Keep the numbers, keep it. Like, I got this. You can take the followers. You can take, like, every day I wake up, I'm like, if I had 3 followers, would I still want to post this? And if the answer is yes, then I still do. So you can become a prison. You can become imprisoned by your following. That's why I'm not like wanting more right now. I'm like, let me just keep doing me. And if that's meant to be in my journey, more will come. Yeah. Because what happens is the more followers I got and the more followers that the other famous person you're thinking about, the more followers they get, the more you feel like this. Like the more you have to create that type of content that drove them to your page. So I know fitness professionals who have so many gifts, myself included, so many gifts, but they just strictly limited to squatting, strictly limited to push-ups. And I'm like, that's because that's what the millions want from you. They don't want the other side, right? So it's a good thing when you don't have millions of followers, I think, because you're free to like craft who you are and not feel imprisoned by all the requests to do more this, to do more that.
I can see that. I can see how that can be. But I also think that in a way too, when we know that everything is created from the inside out, it's also, we create that own trap, because in attaining that success in those numbers, it's our own fear of wanting to show a new side, and that fear of, oh, will they accept me, or am I going to lose the financial income because people are not going to want to see what I'm putting out there. So it's almost like especially as you said, when you are committed to your spiritual growth in growing your platform too, you have to also recognize that you're going to be challenged internally, where it's like, okay, so you reached a certain limit, you know, you've become really successful and you're known for this, and you want to switch it up. So then it's kind of like, yeah, you can get trapped by that, or you can show up in a different way and allow people to either be there or leave, or a new crowd come in. So yeah, I could see how challenging that can be, you know?
Yeah, I think that's funny, because when I talked to Elliot Holmes, he was like, you just got to show up and shine, and like whoever is meant to be there will be there. But he said it in a much more witty way. But I agree with that, and I just feel very strongly about this because I know how many people think that you have to have followers in order to make money. And I know how many people think that if they're not popping on Instagram, that they're not popping in real life. It's an illusion. And that's what I wish more people knew, is like, I'm glad that I have 70,000 followers, because I wanted to know. I'm a performer. I want an audience. Like, I'll be honest. I love an audience. But it's like, I could wake up tomorrow. I woke up with my account hacked last year. My account was gone. So I was so grateful for that test, because I was like, okay, time to start over. Like, it didn't break me. And even my husband was like, and it happened for a whole week. I lost all the four years of stoking that. Account was gone. Instagram wasn't writing me back, nothing. And I was cool. I was like, because what made me that didn't leave. Like, I still have my passion. I still have all the knowledge I've learned from trial and error. I can start over. Like, so for me, I'm like, the numbers matter, but they don't. And I know that it sounds confusing, and I know it sounds like a contradiction, but life is a contradiction. You're going to find a lot of contradiction in life. So yeah, do your best work, put your best work out there, but detach. And if the people are meant to show up, they will. And if you're not ready for it, or they're not ready for you, they won't.
Yes, exactly. I like that.
That's what I think. Yeah.
No, and I love that, because sometimes we're not ready, and we want to be ready before we really are. You know, we think we're ready for this, and then it shows up, and you realize that you're not.
We're like,
It's really about trusting the timing of your life, and knowing that, you know, staying in food and everything you talked about.
And I really have something on my heart that I wanted to share. It's like, I always think about the 90-year-old version of myself, and that chick ain't worried about followers. Like, she's just not. And so I think that when we put ourselves in that perspective of when we're old and when we can't move as much and we're potentially on a hospital bed, we're 100 years old, we're not going to be we're not worried about that, you guys. Like, so many people, and again, I coach for a living. So many of us think that our visibility is tied to our self-worth, right? And it's just not. Like, what really matters is your relationships in your life. Like, how's your marriage doing? How are your friendships doing? You know, like for me, when I was in that hustle, taking care of 2 kids, like my relationships suffered. Like, I fell off with a few friends, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to find that balance when you're as ambitious as probably a lot of your community members are. And so for me, hit a point where I'm striving for balance now.
That's perfect, because that's what I wanted to get at. In that, as you're saying that, what is the hardest part in being a mother or wife while chasing your creative passions and your business?
You got to work twice as hard as everybody else. Twice as hard. Sometimes 3 times as hard. Sometimes I get so angry that I have to do the work of 5 people, but then I'm like, wait, this is exactly what I want. I want to have kids. I might even want another one. I want to still go after my dreams. In fact, that's a part of my mission, to show women that we don't have to stop. But I don't want to be naive, and I don't want to lie to you guys. It's hard. Like, I don't sleep as much as someone with no kids. I don't party as much as someone with no kids. Like, I don't have that lifestyle. So for me, it's like, okay, I have to wake up earlier. Sometimes I have to stay up later. I don't waste time. I'm not watching TV. I'm not Netflix and chilling 7 days a week. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when you have something that you're super passionate about, and that is your a part of your destiny, whatever that might be for you, like, the cost of working harder than someone who might not have kids, it's worth it. Like, it's worth it, because I'm cleaning the house, this freaking house. I gotta clean it. It's like 2 hours of cleaning every day. I'm folding all my kids' clothes. I'm putting away my husband's clothes. I'm making our green smoothies every morning. I'm working on my business. I'm emailing clients. I'm trying to work out to stoke my own body. And I'm trying to read, and I'm trying to make time to meditate. And then often I feel like that meme of Kim Kardashian where she's like crying and she has that face, and it's like me trying to get my life together. That's moms these days. We're trying to balance 50,000 things. We're trying to balance 50,000 things. And I think what's happening now, and like, this is a central message of this whole time here with you today for me, we give up what is in our hearts in order to keep the other 50 plates spinning in the air. And that's where my rebellion comes in from. I'm just like, why do we have to do that? Why are we supposed to have to give up our dharma? We can still do what's in our heart. And it doesn't have to be type of business. It could be how you volunteer. It could be you teach a spin class every week. It could be you love to meditate on a mountain. Like, we as women feel this invisible pressure to give up on the things that light us up inside in exchange for making sure everyone else is happy. Like, husband's happy, kids happy, friends happy, my boss is happy, but I'm freaking miserable. That's the average woman you meet these days. And I'm on a mission to wake her ass up. Like, you better, like, this is your only life, right? And that 90-year-old version of you is chasing you down every day. And she's like begging you to change and begging you to dance more, begging you to talk more to people you like. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just have to prioritize our own happiness as moms. Like, and it looks so different for each of us. It looks so different. But that's my message. Like, go after what lights you up inside, even if you have to work harder, even if you have to sleep a little bit less, because this life, we're not getting, like, there's no redos. This is not a rehearsal. This is one life. So do what makes you happy every day and make time for it.
Preach it. I love it. No, that's so true. Especially as a mom and becoming a new mom and all that. It's a lot. It's a lot of roles you have to play, managing everybody else, and while still trying to find your identity and maintain your own desires and fulfill them.
I love that word. Stephanie. Desires. Desires. I just love it, because like, that fire that we feel, like, no one knocked on your door while you're breastfeeding your son and said, hey girl, I know you got 50,000 things on your to-do list, but I want you to get back into creating with him. Like, I want you to schedule these meetings, and I want you to, like, the learning curve is hard because you took a break, right? You took a break for like a year, and then you're jumping back into it. Like, no one made you do that. Mm-hmm. You have a fire in here that said, you know what? I still have gifts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I respect that. I respect that in women so much, because we already have so much on our plate, and you're prioritizing what your dharma is. Like, you're really good at interviewing. You're very good at facilitating conversation. You're very good at being authentic. You're very good at being intuitive. The world needs that. Even if it's one video a month, we need that from you, because that's your dharma.
Thank you, Monica. Yeah, no, absolutely. Honestly, it's a thing that I've been pondering a lot because I struggled. I didn't think that I would. As I became a mother, I started struggling with my own identity of like, who the hell am I? Because I found myself in these new roles of like, now I'm a mom, and it's like almost like I have to put away, or at least for the moment, my desires don't come first. Doesn't mean that they don't come, but I can't act upon them in the same way that I did when I wasn't a mother or I wasn't a wife. So it's a really big identity crisis that I think we all go through, but it's not talked about. And I didn't think I would experience this because I'm like, oh, I know myself, I got this, I'm ready to be a mom. And I became a mom, and then I'm like, oh my God, I have all these desires and things that I want to do. How do I make it? How do you do it? So, but it's what I'm realizing. It's like I don't have to put my desires aside, but it's just different now. It's patient, knowing when I can do it, because I do have other priorities, and so yeah, it's a very interesting journey.
Like I said, that what you said right there, but that's what the world needs. We have enough perfection, right? This is what we need in the world, is more authenticity. So what you just said is literally what made me start Momswearheels. It's what drives me every day, is that identity crisis that we experience when we pop a baby out of our bodies. And it's just like, whoa. It's like, okay, who am I now? It's like, oh, like those moments, I don't know why I just did that. Those moments when I held my son, this is not what he looked like. He was a lot chunkier. Anyway, when I held Eliel and he was just born in 2012, I was the happiest woman you ever met. I looked a hot ass mess, skin broken out, brittle, like 50 pounds heavier than I am now. I was a hot mess on the outside, but honey, I was the happiest woman in the world because I had given birth to a human, and I was gonna put all my little bits of wisdom in him and make mistakes along the way. But I was like, I love being a mom. But then the other side of that token is like, okay, the baby goes to sleep and it's just you and you. Like the babies are gonna leave the house at some point and it's just gonna be you again. Babies are gonna go to school. Babies are gonna have their own life. Babies are gonna become teenagers and they're gonna do their own thing. So for me, I'm like, I could not let go of who I was. I could not let go of whatever the heck my destiny was what it's turning into. I don't know what my destiny is. I just know that I'm on my path. And I think that we as women have to be really honest with ourselves, that identity crisis is human nature. That shit is normal. Like, you're not crazy. You're not depressed. You're just suppressed. You're suppressing what you're meant to be doing because we think that we can't do it all. And we can't do it all, but again, a rant. But I just want us all to know, like, we're not crazy for having those bits of baby blues and postpartum depression. Like, every woman experiences that, but just not everyone's honest about it. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have a platform, is not to be like, oh my God, look at me. But I really wanted more people to know, like, yo, I struggle a lot. And so I just did an interview and she was like, why are you so transparent? Like, she was genuinely confused as to why I'm so transparent online. I'm like, girl, like, what's the point of all this if you're not going to help someone else's life be better? And I can't help anyone's life be better if I'm like, I've never experienced postpartum depression. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, my life is perfect. No, marriage is hard. Having a mom going after your dreams is hard. Being a boss mom isn't easy, and that looks different for each of us, but it is our right, not our option. It is our right. We have to still do what's in our heart as women, because we're actually cheating our kids. We're actually cheating our communities. We're actually cheating ourselves and our destiny and God, like, when we just sit on our gifts. And so we think we're being so holier than thou. Oh, I've given up everything to just, no, I don't know. I think we all have gifts. Would you agree that we all have things in us that we were put here to do?
Yeah, absolutely. We're multifaceted beings. We're not one-dimensional. And so, we like to box ourselves and put ourselves into these labels. But I think you said it beautifully, and I love it. I think this has been a really great, powerful conversation.
Yes, it's been very good. And thank you. Thank you for being honest about like your own struggles, because again, that's what makes it so relatable. Like I've been there, millions of women are there right now. Like they're in the muck. Like our babies are a little bit older, so we're kind of getting out of that. But there's women who just had a baby who feel like how we felt. And so if it's okay with you, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Related to that is I don't think there's any right or wrong way to go about like rediscovering yourself as a mom. I love that both of our journeys are so unique. You know what I'm saying? What advice would you give to a mom who just had a baby and is deliriously in love with him or her, but also feels that longing of still wanting to make herself a priority? What advice would you give her when she's lost and she doesn't know how to start? She doesn't know where to start.
Honestly, it's if I'm honest, it's the answer that I'm giving myself, because in many ways I'm still not out of it. And so what I'm learning in my own process is to stay in the present moment and not to focus so much on the past and how I used to be or where I want to be. Rather, bring my attention back to the focus to the present moment, because I recognize that my own struggle, and I've made my identity crisis even worse, is because my internal conflict, when we are constantly comparing ourselves to how we used to be or wanting to be somewhere else, you're not present. And so I recognize that, oh my God, like I have this beautiful baby that I wanted, and he's so incredible and so amazing. And sometimes I'm not present, and I'm like, because I'm stewing over like, oh my God, I have all these things I want to do. I'm focusing on all the restrictions, which has been my thing. I'm focusing on like all the things I can't do that I used to be able to do, or the fact that I'm like stuck in a routine. So to me, that's been the struggle, and I recognize that it's my thought, it's how I'm looking at it. So my advice would just be to focus on the present moment, because these are just moments. It's not going to be like this forever, and it's a stage in life. But with the same regard, it's also to say, be in the present moment, but you don't have to give away your dream.